And NATO officials believe that Belarus could soon join Russia in its war against Ukraine, and that the country is already taking steps to do so. A NATO military official said a final decision for Belarus's involvement in the war still has to be made in Moscow. Joining me now is CNN senior global affairs analyst Bianna Golodryga. And Bianna, put this into context for us, because the decision has to be made in Moscow. Is this really Belarus's decision anyway?
No, and we've discussed this before, Brianna. Belarus at this point is just a satellite state of Russia. Their leader, Alexander Lukashenko, beholden to Vladimir Putin, especially over the course of the last few years. They've extended them a financial lifeline. We've seen a meeting between the two of them every few months, and we have seen buildup to this exact scenario where before the war, before Russia invaded Ukraine, we saw Russian and Belarusian troops with joint military exercises in Belarus, and there was about 30,000 Russian troops there at the time. The question was, would they stay there permanently? What would Belarus's role be in this war? Up until now, Lukashenko has said that he is not participating in the war, but obviously, as you mentioned, he really is beholden to Vladimir Putin, and it's a clearer sign of the desperation that we're seeing on the Russian front, to be honest with you, if in fact they do need the extra reinforcements from the Belarusian troops, who, by the way, are not very well trained. They haven't fought a war outside of their own land and the perimeter there. So they're seeing what Russian troops are now facing against the Ukrainian resistance. I'm not sure how emboldened they will be now to join them. But of course, these troops don't have much say in this. It's all about what Vladimir Putin decides for them to do.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting point. I wonder, what is this going to mean for Belarus? Is this potentially going to destabilize Belarus? Could there be backlash there?
Well, we call him, or he's called often the last dictator in Europe. I would say there are two dictators in Europe now, Vladimir Putin and a little Vladimir Putin, and that is Alexander Lukashenko, though he's physically much taller. This puts them now at the peril of getting sanctioned by the West and the United States in particular, and that is some of the leverage the U.S. has now to warn Belarus and Lukashenko that, listen, if you join this war, you are just as culpable, and then we'll be on the receiving end of the sanctions, the heavy sanctions that we've leveled against Russia. But how much say Lukashenko has now, given that he has Vladimir Putin to thank for being in power, that is still debatable. I will say what's most alarming about that is last month, Belarus gave up their non-nuclear status. So the question is, will we start to see Russia start to transport any of their nuclear armament facilities there into Belarus? U.S. Intel says they don't see that as of yet.
All right, very important to note. Bianna, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it.
Sure.